Hey, what's going on, guys? Jake Verdon Tech here, back with another video. Hope everybody had a wonderful holiday, and it's that time of the year again where I usually do a desk setup video, and we actually got a pretty cool one today because I have rebuilt the majority of my desk setup. So in this video, I'm going to take you guys through my desk setup, kind of talk about the main things we changed and how I rebuilt the desk, worked on the backdrop, and did some other things to really make this setup much better than it was. And as per usual, we're going to run through the devices I have and the peripherals as well. So where to start on a video like this? I think the main things is just kind of talking about what I didn't like about the previous setup. And the main thing was the previous desk, along with it not being very sturdy, and I needed something a lot more solid to support the weight of the monitors, the PC, and all the other peripherals. That was kind of the main push for building out a new desk. Aesthetically, I really got out of the dark wood epoxy river table that we had. I'm not sure if I'm quite a fan of the epoxy finish, or at least the way I finished it. And I think with it being a very dark stained wood, I think it really just darkened the whole setup. So I really wanted to bring in something a little bit lighter, a little bit more natural to kind of make everything pop and just overall have a better lighting atmosphere for my setup. The other big part to this setup remodel was the backdrop. I really did like the 3D art wall panels. I think they really served the purpose well. But I think it was time for something a bit more minimalist, kind of a cleaner look, and something a little bit more permanent as far as the mounting solution. I always had issues with the art wall panels coming off, even with different types of two-sided tape. And lastly, I just needed to upgrade to a different lighting solution behind the primary monitors and come up with a way to tie it in neatly. So kicking things off with the remodel, we started off with the core piece, which is the desk. It took me a little while to come up with what components I wanted to pick up and source. And I really love DIY stuff. And I really wanted to get away from the whole IKEA YouTuber desk setup. So I kind of opposed those a little bit, even though they do look nice in most situations. I want to show people too that you can build a lot of this stuff on your own and make something that looks really nice. So for the desk we built, it is actually a Butcherblock acacia wood top. We have two sections of it to form an L-shaped desk. And these were just picked up from Home Depot. These are mostly used for different types of countertops, a lot of center island applications. So it's essentially a countertop, which I think is a great way to go. It's extremely solid and you can kind of refinish it any way you want. You can have something like this for years and years, and you can always just refinish it and kind of do whatever you need to do with it, which is great. So I am really happy with the top we chose. For finishing it, basically I just did a little bit of sanding with 220 grit. We also did a 1/8 inch round over just so the corners don't have that really sharp factory finish. So it's got a nice smooth rounded finish that's very subtle, not too round. And for the actual wood finish, we didn't do any sort of urethane or stain. I just wanted to keep its natural look, but kind of bring it out a bit and also seal it. So I ended up going with a product called Walrus Oil, which is essentially a cutting board oil that's all natural, food safe. Once again, mostly used in kitchen, countertop, or cutting board applications. But in this case, it worked phenomenal. It did exactly what I needed it to do, as I just wanted to keep the natural color of the wood, but I just wanted to turn up the saturation and kind of bring out the colors of it, along with providing some sort of seal and protection. For the legs, if you go on Amazon, there is a bunch of options for different types of desk legs, coffee table legs, maybe dining room table application legs. Quite a bit out there, so you can kind of pick and choose what you want to do for the desk legs. So in my case, I picked up a pair of these kind of diamond shaped dining room table legs, and these will serve as the end legs for the L-shaped desk. And then in the middle, I just have some single post legs that are adjustable that I was able to find that are also 28 inches tall. And I will have links to these below, so if you guys want to check them out and maybe look at them for a current desk you have or a new build you want to do, I would definitely recommend them. So far, this desk has been really solid with the top and the legs we chose. For the cable management, I just ended up making some plywood panels and attaching different types of anchor points on the rear for zip ties and running the cables through. This was a really simple way just to bring up the cables and make sure they're just kind of hidden. And it was much more cost effective and a little bit tidier than some of the cable management trays that you can purchase. In these clips, I didn't have everything quite situated, but right now it's pretty tidy. For the backdrop, this was kind of tricky, so I really didn't film any of the build out, as it was kind of a lot of back and forth in deciding on measurements and how to custom fit everything, but I ended up going with a vertical slat wall backdrop. I've seen a lot of these in accent walls and I think they look very nice, so I decided to do it for the desk and just kind of tie it in with the monitor mounts and kind of the cables I have running up the wall, which is kind of the purpose I always use a backdrop for. But it turned out really nice. It was kind of a pain and time consuming because these are 1.5-inch strips spaced 1 inch apart, so you do have to cut a lot of strips, and getting them all lined up and properly situated can be a little bit time consuming, but I think the result turned out pretty nice. So for the strips, like I said, it is 5/8-inch plywood, just kind of what I had laying around. For the actual board that we attached these slats to is actually just Luan. It's nice and lightweight, comes kind of flexible, but then once you put these slat wall strips on, it gets very rigid, and it's still nice and lightweight to hang on the wall, no problem. There are quite a few solutions out there that are kind of pre-made when it comes to a vertical slat wall, accent wall, so you can actually purchase some. I know there's companies that are doing it. I've seen some on Amazon where you could just buy sections of vertical slat wall. I would probably recommend that if you don't already have some plywood laying around. I just was trying to use some materials that I already had, so that would probably be the easier route to go. The next thing that really took this setup to the next level is the lighting I decided to go with. And the main lighting piece is a Govee product. It's the Govee Glide RGBIC LED wall light. At least I think that's how you pronounce it, but I could not be happier with this light. I think the main things I was looking for is just a much higher quality light, maybe light that's a little bit softer and that kind of covers a wider range. The RGB strips I had before, it just kind of lit a little bit behind the monitors. This kind of covers the whole desk setup, and the lighting is just overall what I was looking for, especially doing the filming stuff for the channel and everything. It's just a very soft, high quality looking light. And essentially how these work is they come in little sections where you can just clip them together. And it does come with corner pieces too. So as you can see, we just kind of did an upside down L shape that just goes from kind of towards the back corner of my desk, kind of under a shelf. And then we built the slat wall around it. I think it gave it a really nice, clean, modern look and providing the perfect amount of lighting I was looking for. Usually I do keep it orange. My desk theme usually has some kind of orange tone. I really like the color. It's nice on the eyes. But of course, as most of Govee products, if not all of them, you can control it from the app and have a wide variety of colors, sequences, and they got some really cool effects you can play with, especially with the Glide LED wall light from Govee. So I think that covers the main changes of the desk setup. The only other thing I can think of that I would definitely recommend, and it's small, but it really is taking the setup far, is I've mounted my 240 Hertz Alienware monitor onto an arm. It's changed the game a lot for me. I know it's very subtle, but having arms, I definitely recommend putting your monitors on any sort of, desk mounted monitor arm, wall mounted monitor arm. It'll free up a lot of space under the monitor, especially on a lot of these gaming monitors where the stands are a bit oversized. And it kind of gives me the flexibility to bring that monitor back in towards where my ultra wide and 4K monitors sit, to where I'm using it more and not looking totally off to the right to view whatever I have on it. So definitely a good upgrade, very subtle, but definitely worth it in my opinion. So that kind of covers the main changes of the desk setup. So now we can kind of go into the peripherals I'm running. Most is the same, but there is some notable ones that have changed. So starting off with the monitor setup, that is probably the biggest thing that's changed. I've gone from a 4-monitor setup. I used to have two 23, 24-inch 1080p monitors that sat above the ultra-wide. It was a good setup, but I decided to upgrade and go with one LG Ultra Gear 27-inch 4K 144Hz monitor. Gotta say, I love it so far. It's mostly just used for viewing different types of content. A lot of YouTube videos I usually throw up there. Some stuff for editing. I kind of wish I did have it as more of a central monitor, kind of like where my ultra wide is, just because it does have such good performance and I could utilize it a little bit more for gaming. But even in its elevated position, I've been able to game on it a little bit and it's still a really good experience. For the peripherals on the desk, most has stayed the same. I'm still rocking the same microphone and USB audio setup, my SM7B and Go XLR. Still running the HyperX Alloy Origin 60, which is probably my favorite keyboard I've used as far as a 60% keyboard. The button layouts worked for me for a long time. I did upgrade to a different mouse recently, and I ended up going from the G305, which I absolutely loved. The only thing is I wanted something that had an internal battery and was rechargeable. So I ended up going with the G Pro X Superlight, and so far I really like it. It is a little strange getting used to with just how light the G Pro X Superlight is and other mice in that class. It essentially kind of feels hollow, or feels like a really light mouse that doesn't have its battery in it, but once you get used to it, it is a really great mouse, very comfortable shape and everything, and great for gaming and even for productivity as well. For the console, I'm still running the Xbox Series X, and I just have it on the left side of the desk still. One thing I almost always forget to mention, and this is a big one for my desk setup, I was previously running the Secret Labs Omega, which was a phenomenal chair, super comfortable, but over a few years of heavy use, unfortunately the material just hasn't held up too well. It's peeled really bad. But shout out to my sister for hooking me up for Christmas. She actually got me a Secret Labs Titan, and this chair so far has been phenomenal. There's a lot of things they've changed on these chairs, going from the Omega, which I got a few years ago, to now. The Titan actually has lumbar support. They have like a lot of magnetic pieces. The armrests are magnetic, so you can always replace those if needed. The polyurethane feels a little bit more rigid, so I'm hoping this one holds up a little bit better. But I may end up using one of their cloth covers that they have custom fitted for the Titan, so there is that option as well. So I think that is going to cover this video, guys. Thank you for checking this one out. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, maybe got some desk setup inspiration, or just enjoyed seeing kind of how I went about certain things on rebuilding my desk setup. I might make an individual video if you want to see more in depth on how I set up the Butcherblock desk that I built, as far as the sanding process, the routing process, and just kind of the assembly and some of the components I chose. So I might do a more in-depth video on it. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a like on it. And if you want to see more tech videos, more desk setup videos, be sure to subscribe. As always, guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.